Welcome to the Ernest Hemignway Trail Creek Memorial. This memorial was dedicated on July 21, 1966, which would have been Hemingway's 67th birthday if he had not taken his own life in 1961. This bronze bust was erected by his friends and family in remembrance of him. The plaque below the bust states, "Best of all, he loved the fall. The leaves yellow on the cottonwoods, leaves floating on the trout streams and above the hills. The high, blue, windless skies. Now, he will be a part of them forever." Most people assume that this quote was written about Hemingway, but in reality it was written by Hemingway in the eulogy for one of his best friends, Jean Van Gilder, who was tragically killed in a hunting accident on the Snake River. Ernest Hemingway had a rich history here in Sun Valley. He first arrived September 21, 1939. After being invited by Jean Van Gilder, who was a publicist, Jean offered Hemingway a free room and board in exchange for publicity photos. Sun Valley Company wanted Hemingway in the valley to spread the word of the abundant summer and fall recreation sports. Hemingway returned the next year with his mistress Martha Gellhorn. At the time, he was still married to his second wife, Pauline, but they were soon separated as his relationship with Martha intensified. Martha and Hemingway were married in Cheyenne, Wyoming in 1940 on their way out of Sun Valley. Hemingway quickly fell in love with Sun Valley and the surrounding area. He had a passion for hunting and fishing, and he appreciated the mountains because they reminded him of the sagebrush hills in the Ebro River in Spain during the Spanish Civil War. Soon enough, Hemingway meets the family, which are local hunting and fishing guides that he loves as if they are his own blood. He appreciates these people rather than the elite upper class because they are humble, appreciate things that he loves, and they follow their own self-imposed code. In one of his most well-known books, A Farewell to Arms, Hemingway develops his appreciation for local people in Abruzzi. Hemingway writes, "But what was lovely was the fall. To go hunting through the chestnut woods, the birds were all good, because they fed on grapes, and you never took a lunch, because the pheasants were always honored if you would eat with them at their house." This could be a description of Sun Valley. Hemingway loves to spend time with local hunting guides who treated him as a friend and not a celebrity. Hemingway's Sun Valley doctor, George Saviors, speaks to Hemingway's cultivation of friendships with the local hunting guides and their families. He once said, "My best assessment of Ernest Hemingway is to judge him by the company he kept. Take all of those people who were like family to him, Lloyd and Tilly Arnold, Bud and Ruth Purdy, McMullen, George Saviors, and Taylor Williams. They were all very intelligent, and they had a common quality of humility, and they were contempt and not self-effacing." Hemingway appreciated his friend's exceptional way of always completing tasks well. They all knew the unspoken rules of hunting and fishing and had a mutual respect for each other and the outdoors. He thoroughly enjoyed hunting with Lloyd Arnold, Jean Van Gilder, and Taylor Williams because they were all extremely accomplished in their fields. However, things did not always run smoothly on the hunting trips. On October 28, 1939, 1 month into Hemingway's first visit, some of his friends went on a duck hunting excursion that Hemingway was unable to join. 3 of the hunters shared a canoe and began their journey on the Snake River. Seated in the back was hunting guide photographer Lloyd Arnold. In the middle was young staff member Dave Benner, and in the bow sat Jean Van Gilder. As they glided down the river, they spotted a flock of ducks. Jean stood to take a shot. It is common knowledge that one must never shoot from a moving canoe, and that when in the canoe, the gun must be empty. However, Jean shot. The recoil rocked the boat, and Dave Benner, whose gun was also aimed at the ducks, pulled his trigger. The shot misfired and hit Jean Van Gilder in the back, pierced him right below his right shoulder blade, and Jean bled out within half an hour. Lloyd Arnold responded to a distraught Hemingway after the tragic death by stating, "How can we call it anything else but impulsive action? No, you and Jean were a fine team and didn't go about telling each other what to do, and I admire your stand, but I won't buy it. I'm involved too." Having hunted with Jean and Lloyd from a canoe, having allowed the hunts to go on without addressing the unspoken rule about only shooting from a fixed or anchored boat or having one person shoot only, Hemingway seems to be self-assessing about his implicit involvement in Jean's death. Hemingway could have addressed these rules in previous hunts. He did not. While Lloyd is self-assessing about his involvement and contribution to the carelessness and code breaking that led to Gene's death, and he is asking Lloyd to do the same. Hemingway's reaction to Lloyd's comment was sympathetic and very severe about rule breaking. Notice here Hemingway stepping out of a canoe to shoot. Gene was only 34 years old, and his death came as a shock for all his loved ones. Hemingway especially took it to heart because his death was unnecessary and a result of carelessness and rule breaking. He was extremely disappointed that his friends did not uphold the unspoken code. Completing tasks well is a value that Hemingway cherishes and constantly takes into account on all his hunts and throughout his life. Hemingway was asked to write Gene Van Gelder's eulogy. An excerpt is quoted on this plaque. While it was originally written for Gene, it could have just as easily been written for Hemingway. The memorial represents Hemingway's love for nature, his friends and family, and his private sanctuary of Sun Valley, Idaho. Hemingway will also forever be a part of the trout streams and high, windless blue skies of Idaho.